All right, welcome. We're getting here started in the Matrixxx Groove Hour. We've got Jessi Melton running for Congress in Florida 22 today. Before I get started, before we bring her in, let me bring in my partner in justice, Shady Grooove. Shady, welcome to the show.
Hello. How you doing, brother?
Oh, man, doing really good. I had a great birthday. Thank you all out there for the wonderful birthday. The birthday wishes. We really appreciate it. And this is a show, Shady. This is kind of like a pilot for our new show coming up. And we will have Jessi back, I'm sure. But this is to make sure we know who's running against the deep state candidates, Shady.
Yes, it is. And I'm really excited to have another candidate running for office on the show today, Jessi Melton from Broward 22 joining us today. And this is going to be an open conversation. We're going to let her explain a little bit about her motivations and what's driven her to run for office, and just get to know her a little bit and share some comments and questions with you guys. Feel free to be offering up some questions if you would like to out there. But another great day in America, my friend.
Another great day for the Republic. Every day is who's tired of winning? Shady, are you tired of winning yet?
No, sir, not at all. Not even a little bit.
I might be getting a little tired.
Tired from winning.
From winning. Okay, there's a difference. And with that, let's bring on our Jessi Melton. She's a proud conservative candidate for the U.S. Congress, Florida 22. It's in Broward, guys. God and America, she believes in. She's a business owner, a mother, freedom fighter, pro-life, pro-Israel, pro-Second Amendment forever. Let's bring her on. Hello, Jessi. How are you?
Hi, guys. I'm fine. Thank you. How are you? Thanks for having me.
We're doing really good.
Pleasure.
And there she is, guys. There's Jessi right there, a true patriot running for Broward. Let's take a quick step back. Who's in Broward, Florida District 22 right now?
The incumbent?
Yes. Let's talk about Mr. I voted for the impeachment.
He's the man we don't speak of. So Mr. I voted impeachment.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted your guns. He's the self-proclaimed savior of the Jewish people, yet he refuses to stand up against anti-Semitism in Congress and criticize the assassination of Soleimani and al-Baghdadi. But that gentleman's name is Ted Deutch.
Yep, and if you can't talk about him, I can. So Ted Deutch, so I'm in Florida, so it's very important to me. The Broward District is amazingly corrupt, folks. It is,
Existentially corrupt.
And right above Jessi is, I believe, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And, that whole area, she's not in this district, though, but the Parkland shootings were in this district. Fort Lauderdale area, but she's in a different district with about 700,000 people in her district that she's running for. So it's important, very important for us to get... the Parkland shooting happened there. That's right. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is there, too. So we're going to be talking to this
Sheriff
beautiful...
Israel.
Yep, Sheriff Israel.
That's where he came from.
So this is very important, as we know with our Q. So we got a lot of Q people out here, and they're patriots. That doesn't mean, anything that just we've been digging on questions, right? So, Jessi, let me play this. I want to play this for the folks here. This is your Second Amendment video, okay? That's on your Twitter. Do you mind?
It's your show, bud.
Let's go. Here's Jessi.
Hey, everyone. Because of what's happening in Virginia, I want to say that the Constitution is a very straightforward document. It says what it means, and it means exactly what it says. The Declaration of Independence tells us that we are given certain inalienable rights, and that means that we're given rights from God, and we're not given them by man, and so man cannot take them away. Among those rights are the right to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It goes on to say that government is instituted among men only to protect those rights of the people. It also says very clearly that in the event government becomes too powerful or attempts to encroach upon those rights, that it is the right of the people, via the Second Amendment, to either revise or overthrow the government. I personally and professionally do not want to see any more civil unrest in this country. However, Governor Northam is attempting to disarm law-abiding citizens in Virginia. And if he continues to do so, he's going to find out exactly what the Second Amendment is all about, and it will set precedents for years to come. I support all of the Patriots in Virginia. I am always a supporter of the Second Amendment, and I always will be, the way that it was written originally and for the purposes it was intended for. God bless you all. God bless the people in Virginia right now that are fighting for our rights, and God bless America.
God bless America. That was very well. I just loved the way you said that. That was a great video, Jessi, and that's why I wanted to play it. Let me get your thoughts on that. Shady, do you have any questions?
I just would like to say that I love the way she articulates the truth, and I feel like that more than anything, that's what the people who have come to the QAnon movement want to hear and see. Is we want to hear and see the truth, and we want candidates who are genuine. And I really got that feeling from Jessi, paying attention to her and some of the work that she's doing. This is an exciting time to be alive, because we have the truth. And so armed with the truth, there's no real stopping us. You can't fight the truth with propaganda. And we have to get people elected who understand that.
Absolutely, Jessi. I'm very happy that you're running. Let's quickly go over. The mods are going to go ahead and ask, if guys out there in chat, if you have any questions for Jessi, Broward County, Florida District 22 for Congress. Make sure you check her out. I'm going to show you her website. We're going to show you how to make sure if you want to support her. Remember, she's going against big money, guys, and she's going to be working hard, going door to door. That's what we have to do as patriots to fight this huge establishment that we're after, or against, if you will. So votejessi.com. I'm going to go ahead and quickly cruise over there and show you guys votejessi.com. Let me switch windows here, because you can see Shady. There he is. He's hogging the screen. Yeah, it's funny. It just shows you, and we got Jessi. So I'm gonna just.
You don't want to see me?
No, he's a frog. He's green. But I happen to like frogs. I think they're pretty cool. So this is votejessi.com. Jessi Melton for Congress. This is her Twitter. Please get over there to follow her. Jessi is right here, and I want to have you guys. This is the Meet Jessi. Do you want to tell your story, Jessi, to the folks here, and how you came to wanting to run for Congress, and just tell us the story of how you got here.
Sure. Well, how much time do you have?
Wow, we got all day.
we got all day.
There's all kinds of good stuff in there. Yeah, so, I come from what many would call humble beginnings. I was born in West Virginia and raised in North Carolina, and, grew up in a lower income part of town. We lived in a double wide at one time, the basement of an apartment complex at another time. And I just, I always had something inside of me that, said, I want more. And I was always tenacious. And, because we weren't wealthy, I developed, skills to make a better life and get what I wanted. So I'm really grateful for those humble beginnings. So when I was young, I was a cheerleader, and I was in beauty pageants, and in order to pay for those things, I would sell raffle tickets door to door and sponsorships to businesses. So I guess you could say I had a little bit of a leg up on the rest of my generation. But yeah, so I grew up in North Carolina. I went to college at UNCW and got a business degree in management and economics. And I had my son while I was in college, and I was just, after I had my son, I really kind of, it lit a fire, and I just really started to focus on the future and being able to provide for him and provide a nice life for us. And I guess you could say it kind of lit a fire. And I had the option when I graduated. One of the things that I saw was that as a single mother, the government was throwing welfare programs at me and trying to send me the message, continue to live irresponsibly, basically, and make decisions that are going to keep you in poverty. And, and you don't want to go past the poverty line, because on the other side of that, you might actually have to take care of yourself. And God forbid, that's so frightening. And that's
right. Scary.
Yeah, that's the message that I see all around now. Fortunately, I had the right voices speaking life over me, and I had something inside of me that I could only call from, some sort of divine, purpose that was on my heart. And I just, I was staring down a life dependent on government, or I could just continue to, pull up my bootstraps and get moving. And so I moved down to Florida with a 2-year-old son. I was driving and I had an Acura TSX. I love that car. And it had no air conditioning in it. And I had a toddler, and we lived in a lower income part of town, and I was selling radio advertising, pounding the pavements, making a $30,000 a year draw, which means if you don't earn the commission, you have to pay it back. And, I just always dressed for the job I wanted. I always acted as if, I wasn't a victim, and I just went after it, and I just got up every day and I worked hard. And it wasn't an easy road, but eventually I got my break into the telecommunications industry, which is cell phone towers. And I started working for a publicly traded tower company. And I always built solid relationship with customers. I made sure all of my work was very accurate. I dressed as if I was in a much higher position than I really was. And I was, made fun of or targeted for being so ambitious, but I didn't care. It didn't stop me. And I moved my way through the tower industry. And then one of our strongest customers was Verizon, and they recruited me. I went to work for them, and I managed about 700 tower development sites in Florida. So I managed all of the modifications, the structural development, the permitting, zoning, government relations, landlord issues, contracts, and then I went back into the other tower company at a higher level, because life is a jungle gym, not necessarily a ladder. And finally I said, you know what? I'm in a position where I know enough about this industry. I'm going to go pursue the American dream. And it was a little frightening and scary. I went from a pretty nice salary to, nothing, eating what you kill and building a business. And it took me about a year to break even and grinding. And fortunately, I was just able to take all those relationships and that reputation I had cultivated from blood, sweat, and tears, faking it till I made it. And I built a very successful company and tower development firm. And we develop wireless infrastructure. And my son is now 10 years old. The past couple of years, I've experienced the greatest profits I've ever had in the history of my business. And, I've been able to give my son a life that I didn't have. And I did all of that by being something that the left is telling an entire generation of people, you can't have this. You can't have the American dream because you're a victim. And that really, really, really does not sit well with me. And they're attacking our republic. This is the country where no matter where you start, you can create anything. But that's not the case in every single country. It is in this country. So I just looked around and I was like, listen, I can continue chasing the almighty dollar and, just become wealthy, or I can use the gifts that God has given me and the blessings that I have right now and take my gifts and my story and my experience to go and serve my country, which it's supposed to be service. You're supposed to leave the private sector, serve your people and your country, and then you're go back, which is something that we've lost. So I said, I got to get in there. I got to establish term limits. I got to make sure we balance the budget. I've got to, be a leader and show people that, they're not victims of their circumstances. They can have anything they want in this country, regardless of skin color, socioeconomic status, or all those other victimhood mentalities. I'm sick of seeing women of my demographic that are winning elections as Democrats, that are leading our women further into oppression and victimhood. It's absolutely sickening. So I said, you know what, I'm going to serve my country. This is what I'm going to do. I've got what it takes. And so here I am.
Wow. Wow. That's a great story. I mean, what an interesting story. That's exactly right. I mean, you're a successful businesswoman, single mom, chasing, what you need to chase, because we're in this system. We need to make money, and we need to take care of our kids and family. And that's absolutely amazing. Right now, guys, I'm showing you Jessi Melton. It's her website, votejessi.com. There it is right there. We do have some questions coming in, so we'll get to those in a second. But there's the About Jessi, the issues, the In the News shop. But here's that donate button. Like I said before, we're up against deep state, deep pockets. And if you can, even if you can, do $17 for Q, if you want to. And she'd love a monthly recurring donation, even if it's $1, guys. Whatever you can do to help Jessi Melton for Congress, get us out of this deep state, Broward County. I mean, there's so much corruption down there, guys. We need real American patriots. Let me just kind of show you right now, Jessi. People are saying, just shared on Facebook. Talent, she's equal. Help her make this goal. Jessi is awesome. Good head on her shoulders. Listen to this. This is really good. She is very bright and strong. We need her. Queued up. The mod here says she's real. We need to get her voted in. Wow, I love this young lady so much, says Holly Hearth for Truth. You're getting some really good feedback right here. Grandpa C says vote her in up there. Yep, she's got my vote, is what Grandpa C said, actually. Bootstrap, LOL. AOC doesn't get it, so she, you actually did something. Trixie for Trump says, wonderful. We need help in Broward. Trixie, please help her out if you can. Knock door to door, get the word out for her. And then Trixie says, we need a Q group. Hey, if you build it, we will come. I will come and say hi. I live in Martin County. I'm in a red county. So I'm really happy about that. So that's Jessi's website. Check her out. Let's go to the issues, Jessi. What's your take on the immigration? And there's specifically some stuff going on with the trafficking in Broward, I believe. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Broward County, I've seen statistics that show Broward County is #2 in the country for human trafficking. We know that a lot of that has taken place. A lot of these spas, they're victims that were sleeping on massage tables. I've seen it firsthand. I had a woman that kind of came under my wing. She was a victim of human trafficking, and a lot of people kind of mistook it as, that was the guy who she kept getting pregnant and having babies, and people mistake them sometimes as just having a boyfriend or being promiscuous, and they're actually being trafficked. And a lot of times they don't even know it. But human trafficking is a $150 billion criminal industry. It's the largest growing criminal industry in the world. And one of the things most closely related to human trafficking that perpetuates it, one of the root causes, is open borders. When people are trafficked, and I think 70% of them are actually lured to the U.S. by false pretenses of being able to have some sort of job. And they're almost always, just left to be exploited as victims of labor slavery, whether it's servitude, sex slavery, labor slavery, having their wages withheld. And because they're not documented, they are, obviously they're in fear of criminal prosecution or deportation. And so they're not going to report this to authorities. So it's something that is just rampant and perpetuated by open borders. Of course, the Democrats want open borders because they don't understand that America is a republic. It's not a pure democracy. They think if they control the popular vote, then they can change the Constitution, which they cannot, even if they do have the popular vote, but that's a whole nother subject. And so open borders are, their organization, they're not discrimination, or I'm sorry, closed borders. A secure border is organization, not discrimination. And if we if we continue to allow this to go on under our noses, we're just perpetuating human trafficking. We're condoning it. It's not good for the foreigner that's being trafficked in. It's not good for us. A lot of these politicians are actually consuming benefits of human trafficking. It's really ugly. It runs really deep. So immigration is a really important one if we're going to combat human trafficking. And then just how much money it costs us. I mean, we've got military vets that are sleeping on the streets, and we're over here even considering health care for immigrants or illegal immigrants. It's just, it's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. But, you know.
Wow, that's interesting. We got a lot of people right here just telling you, wow, she gets it. I support you and donated. Lee Davidson just donated. Good luck. We stand behind you. Holly Hearth for Truth also said, hey, I'm heading there right now to donate, or will be headed there to donate. Dutch Q Patriot says, you know, why don't you just, can you please ask her if she can run for PM in the Netherlands? So you're being heard worldwide, Jessi, right now. Holly Hearth says, very impressive again. Let me see. Let's see. She gets it, says Andy Social. Grandpa C says, wow, beauty and brains. Cool. She's informed, says, we're all mad here. Much love to everybody. Modern day slavery. Yep, everybody gets it here. You're talking to one of the most red-pilled audiences on YouTube. And there was a huge human trafficking bust in Collier County in Florida last week. That's right, Christ believer, I remember. And, you know, this is a port county as well. There's a big port in Fort Lauderdale, and that's why we need to get Patriots in here. There's one thing...
What she was talking about, it's what she was talking about there. You know, that is really, people don't quite understand how pervasive it is there in that part of the country, and how much comes in through southern Florida. And like she was just hitting into, so many of the politicians are corrupt, and they're corruptible. And the reason that they're corruptible is because they don't really have or have made a way for themselves other than being part of the political establishment. And then they get caught up, you know, whether it's judges or lawyers or whatever they are, they're already kind of part of the team. They don't really understand America for what America actually is. And then this whole aspect of the drugs and the human trafficking that's coming in from down there, it's very concentrated. And the people in power aren't doing anything about it because they are being given kickbacks to shut up, you know. And so that's part of what we're trying to expose as Q. And you can see with what she was just talking about there, you know, that's a focal point, and that needs to be something that makes the conversation when we start talking about, you know, what do I care about? It's not just these three issues that they make us fight over all the time.
That's right. And, you know, we just got in Jupiter, you know, Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, was busted, and then we had a huge bust right after that, which and also there was a lot of activity around the Super Bowl all the way up to Martin County. They went up and down the coast busting people around the Super Bowl, if you will. But yeah, just amazing. We got a Tofnit says pro-life.
Of course, yeah.
What's your primary focus for change, Jessi? I know that's kind of a deep one. That's from Lightheart. I don't know how you want to... What's your primary focus for change is what she's saying.
Well, there are definitely some ideological and cultural shifts that, you know, I think as legislators, as we've seen in modern day with the media, social media, legislators have also become role models. So I think we need to elect people that are God-fearing people that are also going to lead people into prosperity and success instead of victimhood, oppression. So that's one thing is, you know, we just have to kind of be, we have to be virtuous, we have to be righteous, we have to be patriotic. But two root issues that need to be addressed, that there are all kinds of symptoms downstream, are one of them is the lack of term limits. That's a huge issue. This country was never intended to be operated by career politicians. As you guys know, George Washington was actually, they wanted him to be king, and he had his arm twisted into being president. He served 2 terms and set precedent there. But we've got to establish term limits on these congressional royal career politicians who end up, you mentioned something earlier about politicians that flip. A lot of it, and I can see it as a candidate, how it happens. I see other candidates around me. I see it happening, and they're just exploited. The candidates themselves, they don't have the money to go up against the establishment, and they're looking for the easy way out instead of pounding the pavement, networking, doing the work to raise the money grassroots. They start getting, money from different large organizations. They get their hooks in them, and then they're, they're no longer their own. So they don't have allegiance to themselves anymore. So term limits would eliminate a lot of that crap. And then the other thing is we got to balance the budget. We got to starve the beast. So Congress should not be spending more than it's taking in. And if you force them, like many of us are business owners, so we don't do that. We don't spend more than we make.
Right.
We don't live on credit card debt and collect interest. So we got to starve the beast. And I think it was last year there was something that came out. They spent several $100,000 on lobster tails because they wanted to make sure that they spent all of their budget at the end of the year. This is Congress, to spend all of their budget so that the next year their budget wouldn't be cut. That's the way it worked when I worked for a big corporation. We got to the end of the year and I was working for Verizon, and I was, slashing things here and there, getting our vendors to get a little more competitive with one another, and really trying to make sure we were being smart with, our shareholders' money, basically. I had allegiance to our shareholder value. And, and I'm sitting in a room full of Verizon veterans, and we're getting to the end of the year, and they're like, we need to spend. So why? Why are we doing that? Well, because we need to spend. But hold on, I don't understand. Why are we spending? Why aren't we saving money? Why don't we want to increase the margin and increase shareholder value? Well, no, you don't get it, because next year we want to have the same amount of budget. We'll get our budget cut. I'm like, isn't that the point?
That is the point.
Right?
and they looked at me like I was just a lunatic. And so I didn't do, corporate America, I always kind of had a target on my back, but that was okay. I'm used to it. And it's the same thing with our congressional leaders. They got to stop blowing our money. That infuriates me. The impeachment stuff, I don't care if you hated the president. If you want to hold on to that bitterness and anger and resentment, fine. But you weren't going to impeach him. It wasn't going to work. So all you did was waste my money, your money, the money I could have used for, my future retirement and my son's college. It was sickening the way that they blow our money. And that's candidly probably one of my strongest motivators is slashing taxes. Taxes have gotten way out of hand. We don't need the government to take care of us. We got it. We'll take care of the people that need our help, because we're God-fearing people. So it's just, it's really ideological things, but I would say balancing the budget and term limits would curb a lot of issues. But
so a lot of people want to, a lot of people want to know that do you understand kind of like what we've learned in this Q movement is that the federal government is supposed to be for making deals for our international partners, right, from countries, then to maintain the, if there's any intercontinental trade, that's what they do. The federal government can do that, and the wall. And if you really see it, our president is going and renegotiating deals that are good for us, we the people. He's making sure that we have that wall. The wall is much more than and it also goes to your human trafficking, which you're passionate, and I am too. We're all passionate about that. But what's happening too is the Federal Reserve is probably going to come under the Treasury. And remember, there's an executive order 122127 that deals with crime against humanity and corruption. It's 1221 2017. It's an executive order, and that's what's going to end up happening, we believe, in the future. So when what you're talking now, somebody made a comment, I think it was Russ, says that's the fiat currency mentality, and you're absolutely pointing it out. We're a debt-based society, and that doesn't make sense. Who buys debt? Jesse, let me buy all your debt and I'll get richer. What? How does that make sense, right? So I think our president does understand that. Shady, do you want to go further on that at all?
Yeah, well, I would just like to say that it is all, with the Q movement, Jessi, like so much of this stuff, there's been so many drops in information, but one of the cornerstones of it has been that whether it is Red Cross, foreign aid, Clinton Foundation, no matter what it is that they're calling, quote, foreign aid. Yeah, exactly. All of that is unvetted. Like there's no accountability for any of that money that is spent. So it gets given to someone. And now we're seeing with like everything that's coming out about Joe Biden and Ukraine and China and all this stuff, we're seeing clearly that this is all a complete scam, that the countries that we think we're giving $300-400 million, it's actually going to some sort of military operation against them and then coming back in the form of donations to Clinton Foundation or whatever it is. And so, the focus for the president to be on the Treasury and the idea of tariffs goes back to the foundation of our country and exactly what you spoke about at the beginning, which is sustainability and the idea of debt. We know that debt is a complete made up thing and wealth is the only thing that really exists. And so with this reality, not only are we seeing so many people walk away from Congress, but we're seeing all of these honeypots or portals of wealth start to dry up, and you're seeing them reacting unusually, and that's exactly what's happening. Because if we don't have any accountability right now, we can't trace any dollar that leaves American shores. And now Rudy Giuliani's tracing those dollars back into Joe Biden's kids' bank accounts. It's really just not good out there. And having voices that speak for that to get back to a sustainable form of government where we take in the money from the production to pay for our country, and there should be no income tax.
Yeah, I said this one day on social media, and one of my campaign strategists lost his mind, but I said, the IRS is actually unconstitutional, and he was like, "Don't say that, you sound crazy." I said, "It is."
This audience knows that's not crazy.
He's like, "You sound like you're radical." I said, "I am." So,
what's wrong with that?
That's right.
Yeah, I am. I can get away with it a little bit because of my demographic. Let's face it, identity politics, they work well with the Democratic Party.
They do.
But yeah, I think I was talking to a veteran today. He's on 100% disability. He's like, we were talking about that, and I was like, listen, military strength starts with honoring our veterans. That's where it starts. Treating them the right, not weakening them, not punishing them, and not looking down on them, and not forgetting to say thank you for your service and your sacrifice. But and also I'm a true believer. We are the highest GDP producing country in the world. We have so much economic leverage, and you see Trump, and I know a lot of people don't understand it. When we imposed the tariffs in China, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it made this go up." I'm like, listen, this is the principle of sacrificing right now for future abundance and prosperity. So just hold tight a little bit. There's a point to it all, patience. And that's what we're lacking, because we can use our economic leverage to force certain behaviors, as you've seen our president do. And we can use those tariffs to fund a lot of the things that need to be financed in the country, not exploiting our own people. Are you out of your mind? You know, it's just like, and the thing is, we can use our economic leverage for so many things, including we're using it, and then military strength as a last resort. I mean, we don't want to just be sending our boys out there for every single battle, when we can win it with economic leverage. But if all else fails, you better believe we're standing by ready to blow somebody off the face of the planet if we need to. And so, there's so much, we could just be doing such better use of our assets as a nation. And so Donald Trump is the absolute man for the job. Yeah. And I support him wholeheartedly, and I don't care what anybody has to say about his style of speaking. It's really a waste of breath, and it just goes to show how small-minded they are if that's what they've got to comment on.
So I've got a question for you. What do you think about like the Democrats calling on Barr to resign? Bill Barr is fighting to hold the FBI accountable for lying to the FISA court, and basically 17 times, by the way. And we were talking. People want to know. Do you know about QAnon yet?
Yeah, a little bit about you guys. I mean, I know you're kind of just similar to me. I mean, you call it like you see it, and a lot of that are supposed to be things we don't speak of, but
so here's a new Q post. You can see it. We're talking about corruption and trying to get people elected to stop the corruption, and that's you, Jessi. Q just dropped this meme. Haven't you figured it out yet? It's not about Trump's corruption. And there's a picture of all these guys. It's about making sure you don't find out about their corruption. Just exactly what you were talking about, 5 minutes ago, right? About the IRS is illegal and all that other stuff. So this is the Q post, 3660. It leads to Jim Jordan's Twitter, and it's talking about how our Donald J. Trump and Barr are going to clean the FBI and the DOJ because of this FISA court. So what do you think about that Q post right there? Pretty interesting, huh?
Look, if I was as twisted and as corrupt as those folks are, I'd be scared of Barr too. I'd be doing the same thing if I was them. So yep. I love Bill Barr. I actually have a hat in there that it just says AG Barr on it. One of my supporters.
Oh, love it.
My son wears it all the time. I'm like, people are like, why isn't something happening? I said, Barr's no dummy. Barr's no dummy. They're strategic. We're not dealing with stupid people here. They're just, again, patience, things in due time. But yeah, we're gonna see the craziest things we've ever seen in the history of our country over the next 4 years.
That's right.
Yes, we are.
And you're going to be part of it. And we got to make sure that this person, Patriot, that we are talking to right now is part of it, guys. So make sure I'm showing them the Q post, Jessi. And the Q posts really aren't anything except for us looking at the facts, right? It's Socratic method, asking you, hey, what about this? What about that? And then we go look for it. You go look for it yourself, because I've always had this quote. It's called, "The truth is learned, never told." I can tell you, but until you actually say, well, let me look at human trafficking and see how bad it is, that's when you're going to learn. That is, you guys have to take the time to think for yourself and learn for yourself, guys. We can't tell you anything. You have to learn it. And that's what they failed to realize. The deep state is still with the Mockingbird media, right? It's very interesting. Paula, we just covered the Q drops. Yep.
Yeah, I was just going to mention how interesting it is that the media is paying extra attention to candidates who are interacting with people who pay attention to Q or talking about Q. They're really triggered by a political candidate who says, something pro Q or something, or retweets one of us or whatever it is. And I think there's probably Matrixxx now 20 or 25 around the country that have openly acknowledged on Twitter or other social media, Facebook or whatever, that they're supportive of the Q movement. And you're seeing this unmitigated strength from the president, which is, it's trickling down, so to speak. If he stands there in power in his bully pulpit, it's giving other people with a political voice power in their bully pulpit, and then it's giving candidates power to speak directly to why what these fools over here are saying is inaccurate. No, this is what's going on. No, you can't distract my conversation and start telling me that I am not allowed to have X amount of bullets in a gun when we're worried about 10,000 deaths that happen every year, when there's 500,000 kids that go missing every year. It's like we're having the wrong conversation, and that's intentional. And what Q has done is really just opened up that conversation to so many more people around the world. So all these points of interest connect in the idea of the truth. We're all really just trying to find the truth. And here in America, we are trying to sustain our liberty and keep our freedoms from the ones who don't want us to have them, because they don't trust us with guns. They don't trust us with the truth. They don't trust us with the real information. That's why they had to make the whole mainstream news behemoth that it is now,
Yeah, and Army Ranger Jessi just said, woke she is. I'm in Massachusetts and I will donate to her. Roro
nice.
Patriot says, I will be supporting. So happy. We need Ted Deutch gone. Will tell my friends in the district to support. That's Roro Patriot. Dexter says, God has made her for this purpose. Jessi, God bless. How does she feel about the poisoning of our skies? That's from Grandpa C. In this movement, people are talking about the chemical trails and stuff. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but it would be something great to ask Congress, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, stuff like that. Again, you brought up an interesting point about we have to have the conversations. We can't be stifled from even having conversations about what real root causes are. Donald Trump didn't step into office and know the solution to every single problem. He was willing to go to the people that are living it, that are experiencing it. So to that effect, poisoning our skies, I don't know if he's talking about the, what do they call the crop dusting, the
chemtrails.
Yeah.
What are they?
Well, people refer to them as chemical trails, chemtrails. But, that's kind of like a hook for when people say that, you kind of get, kind of like when they call you a truther, right? It's a hook to not look into, right? Operation Mindcrime wants to know if we can clone Jessi. Let's see. Daddy Dunlia says, in the Matrix tested and Daddy approved. Oh, that's awesome. Yes, and this is a great point too. So basically what Jessi is saying about the chemtrails, just look up in the sky, of course. And I think we got our first little clue from Q on that too. He hasn't really spoken about that, but I think Jessi is just saying, hey, yeah, we can check it out and ask the questions in Congress. I mean, that's pretty darn good as well.
We have to talk about it. I mean, just go into anything environmental related. I think it might be a good segue just to mention, the climate change hoax, and Deutch is pushing some sort of carbon tax where he would he would tax some people and then redistributed it to some people. Mm-hmm. But there's no specification of who it's being taken from and who it's being given to. Also, the pipes in Fort Lauderdale, the sewage pipes are corroded and have been grossly neglected, as have many things in Broward over the past 10, 20 years. Mm-hmm. And over the holidays, there was sewage all over the streets, and you could smell it everywhere for miles in these really nice neighborhoods. And Deutch came out and said, we got to do something about climate change. Look what just happened down here. So, and then the Paris climate deal was a way to just take money from an emotional point. The thing is that all of us, especially conservatives, and, we care about the environment. God made the earth. Listen, if I wasn't running for Congress right now, you would catch me living in a jungle or on top of a mountain with nature. I love being with nature. It's time where I'm disconnected, I'm close to God, and I don't want to see concrete everywhere. By nature, conservative, the term conservative means we conserve, Right. So that whole, liberals are the only ones that care about nature is ludicrous. I do care about nature, but I'm not okay with hoaxes in order to extort money from the American taxpayer. And then, like you said, completely be unaccountable. And then the money's going to line the pockets of crooked politicians. I'm not okay with that. But
amen.
What we need to do is, I do want to have clean air to breathe. We all breathe air. I want clean waterways. I'd like to see more bike paths. I'd like to see people more connected with nature. I can't stand when people wear cologne or perfume around me because I have allergies. I mean, I don't like when cigarette smoke goes in through my vent in my car. I don't like breathing exhaust. We do breathe oxygen. So, I mean, there are things that we have to have conversations about, real issues. We don't want, waste dumping in our waterways. But the hoaxes, I'm not, we got to stand firm against that. We got to go on the offensive because there are environmental issues that need our attention.
Of course. Jennifer DeChantel wants to know, hi, Jessi, who are your biggest corporate financial supporters? I think, Jennifer, if you go donate, it would be you. And me and all the people donating.
If you find some that don't want anything twisted, let me know.
Right.
My campaign is completely grassroots, and I've got a couple of one of the private tower companies in Boca that I used to do a lot of business with them. That one of their lead guys sent a personal contribution to my campaign of $2,800. I've got a bunch of engineers from within the industry that have sent varying amounts of money, $500 here, $1,000 there. So that's probably the extent of my corporate contributions.
Right, exactly. And I think I know that company too. I sold Cisco systems in South Florida too. So we probably we probably know the same people, a lot of the same people. Vernon Peterson wants to know, this is a huge question. This is probably a make or break it for Vernon Peterson. Are you a Miami Hurricanes fan?
Ooh.
That's a no.
So, did you, what is his name? Vernon?
Yeah, Vernon Peterson. Yep.
Vernon Peterson, did you happen to see the Virginia Tech Miami Hurricanes game this past year?
Ruh-roh.
Uh-oh, let's see what we got.
So, okay, this is a good segue into my personal life. I don't like watching sports, but I play flag football on a men's league. I'm the rusher. And I also am the speed and agility coach for my son's football team. So I like to play sports. I don't have the patience to watch them. However, my little brother is the outside linebacker, Dylan Rivers, for Virginia Tech. And they played Miami this past season in Miami, and so I went to that game to watch him, and it was an awesome game, and it went into overtime, and it tied twice, and then the refs recanted on their calls. It was a really awesome game, but ultimately Virginia Tech won. So,
but that's because of family, so you're let off the hook, Vernon. You got to give her some credit on that one.
Yep, you can't hold that one against her.
That's a great story too. I mean, here, listen to this comment, amazing comment. Bobby McKinley says, "Oh my God, Jessi, you are winning our hearts over like crazy." So you're doing great here. Here's let me see, new member. I can't vote for her, but I can give to her. Absolutely. So here's the big one that I've seen many people bring up, and I don't know, since you are in the cell tower industry, what do you think of 5G?
If I had $1 for every time I had that, I would blow every Democratic fundraiser out of the water.
Yeah.
5G is really just kind of the latest and greatest. If you remember, there was 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, and all that really means is densification of the network. So you have two purposes for towers or cell sites. And one is for coverage so that you can make a phone call and the call doesn't drop. And the other was for capacity so you can watch this show on live stream or YouTube or whatever you want to do. So coverage is for the most part a resolved issue. With most places you have coverage, you can make a call without dropping it. But there's a shift in carriers are trying to densify their networks. So traditionally towers are 150 feet. But in order to resolve extra stress on the network from all this data usage, you have to install lower powered, lower level sites on rooftops, flag poles, indoor venues where you have a lot of traffic. And that's really what 5G is more than anything. It's densification of the network. So yeah, there's going to be an upgrade in technology, but that happens every 18 months on towers. Yep. They swap out antennas for the latest and greatest.
And it's funny, I see the comments here, but you got to realize if this technology is dangerous to the public, our president is going to fix it, guys. Trust your chain of command and commander-in-chief, folks, okay? I also am from I sold Cisco systems for many, many years to a lot of deep state banks too. All right, I did DTCC's, Depository Trust Bank. I did Chase. I sold to Goldman. Okay, so I understand that this stuff is too. 5G is a splitter in our movement, and that's what they're trying to do right now. But if I trust my president and understand technology the way I do, any technology can be used as bad if they want to use it for bad. But also, it can be used as good, and it doesn't have to be so poisonous. They don't have to inject anything that's negative into it if they don't want to. So, just think of the opposite too. What is the mirror of 5G? G5. Talk to Abba, right? That's talk to Father. So just guys, just understand that, we live in this system. You're using a cell phone today, so you are part of the 5G problem. So don't use it as a divisive tactic, in my opinion. We need this patriot into Congress right now. Right now, get in there.
If it gives anybody a peace of mind, most of the good old boys out there that actually work on the towers or swap out the equipment, they're conservative and for small government. So if it hits the fan, we've got the good guys on our side. So
yep. And if it is, go ahead, Shady.
Our theory with it a little bit is exactly like what you were saying and what Matrixxx was explaining there. Everyone, you have to understand that a weaponization is taking place in other countries right now using the 5G network, and that is different than just a 5G network in general. So like what he's explaining, the conversation is trying to be slid into everything 5G is the apocalypse, and not understanding that the powers that be, their plan to use 5G for the hallucinatory, even holographic type realities that are being used in some cities right now, is not the plan for the use of this, and that is backed up by the pushing out of Yahweh out of our systems, because that was the corrupt, contaminated system that they've been implementing in China for a while now. So it has become a weird, divisive conversation, but it's interesting your experience with that, Jessi, and this is part of why we're all trying to come together and talk about it. But the president isn't implementing, we're not implementing things that are going to harm us, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily mean, it doesn't correlate with some things other people were trying to implement before he became in office. Remember, it's only 3 years now he's been elected, and look at how far you've come.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, Jeff Boyd, that's ridiculous. So let's see what we got here. What other comments do you guys want to, what do you want to go over, Jessi? What else is on your mind? Let's see where we're at. I'm going to just make sure I'm at the right place. So we talked about your Second Amendment. You're fully for the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, no doubt about it. Let's see, issues. Education. Let's talk about education.
Yeah, I'm glad you went to that, because I was going to bring up there two things besides fighting for our republic and the things that everyone on here is on the same page on. There are two things that have been put on my heart that I've been tasked with. One of them is combating human trafficking and some of the things that lead to that. Another one is the over-medication of American youth. And my son is 10 years old. His name is Jackson Churchill. He is a descendant of Winston Churchill, for the record. And he's a self-decided conservative. He's brilliant when it comes to theology, business, numbers, just insight, discernment, life, and all of those things. But he's on his own path of reading and writing and spelling and handwriting and all that stuff. And I recognize his strengths and areas where he's strong, and areas where he'll develop in his own time. And it may not end up being the thing that he excels in. But one of the biggest issues is putting, and I know this is going to get a lot of controversy, but there is an epidemic of putting children on methamphetamines. And I know personally how much pressure I receive, because I have a high-performing child. He's very energetic. He's very strong-willed. He's very athletic. But I've seen addiction take hold of friends of mine, of family members. And so the thought for me, I had to fight against it. I had his teacher trying to tell me, I had other people that were close to me trying to tell me, well, it'll just be easier for his confidence because he'll be able to sit still and focus. I'm like, so you want me to put my child on methamphetamines, cause drug dependency at a young age so he never develops critical thinking and coping mechanisms of his own? And in order for it to be easier for you all to teach Common Core, which is really the root issue. Common Core wants all of our children to toe the line, learn the same things, and be zombies. And it's causing serious issues. So the that first generation of children that were placed on methamphetamines are the children. I had a conversation last week at a fundraiser. There was a father that went up to me, and we hadn't brought up this subject at all. And he was telling me that his son had overdosed at 19. He was a really talented hockey player. And he overdosed, and he was put on methamphetamines at a young age. I have another friend, same thing happened to her son. So that's an epidemic, drug addiction, the opioid crisis. There are a lot of things contributing to it, but actually, if you really look at the root cause, which is what I try to do, I want to respect the Constitution while at the same time understanding that this whole Common Core, trying to make everybody toe the line and be alike, is damaging our children, who then become, our generations of adults. And so we've got to implement school choice and more choices for teachers and for parents, and encourage the gifts that our children do have and speak life over them. So that's something that I'm going to be combating, and I just have to make sure that we do it in the right way and be calculated about it, not just reckless. So
yes, and Ron DeSantis did abolish Common Core, but they turned it into the park system, and that is Common Core. So we need to, get it out of our system completely. I think we got some of it out. My daughter is 17, and she was able to raise her hand when they said, hey, we're a constitutional democracy. And she raised her hand and says, well, then why do we say to the republic? And all the kids are like, yeah, why? Why do we say to the republic for which it stands? The teacher's like, so, we need to also, as far as education goes, folks, is we need to also teach our own kids. Take the time. Instead of, I worked in the Manhattan. I worked, with commute 15, 20 hour days, guys. And I still made sure I had 1 hour with my daughter every day. And I taught her what I wanted to teach her, not what some educational run by the state, propaganda campaign taught her. You guys need to take it. Jeff Boyd, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I really do.
And it's what you're saying is so spot on, Jessi. And the reason that and I can make a direct correlation. The reason that you're seeing masked people in the streets screaming for socialism is because they didn't have 1 second of civics in school. They have no understanding of what it is their Constitution is or means, how the government functions. And so you can have a whole Congress full of people up there vote to impeach a president because of something that really is irrelevant when it's obvious that due process was avoided. America, if anything, stands for due process. The reason that you have a Second Amendment is to protect the rest of them, and the main one of those is due process in law, to where you are innocent until proven guilty. And you have watched over and over and over, even the media, MSDNC or MSNBC and CNN and all of them, act as if that the president somehow has to prove himself innocent. It's absolutely absurd, and not single one of those people would be in a situation where they were accused of something where they would not scream and yell and say, oh, poor me, whenever you're being accused of something, and not or using the full arm of every loophole that they can find to get out of it. And so many kids have no civics, and that is a big part of what Common Core is eliminated from our conversation. And
it's funny too, a lot of the homeschool systems have Common Core zipped up into their homeschool systems as well, because they got to be accredited. Otherwise they can't go to college. So it's very interesting. Correct. Go ahead.
I think if you're going to make anything a requirement to vote, it should be successfully passing an economics course.
Boom. But, like the checking book and like how to live.
Right? How to actually balance a book.
All right.
That and then you touched on something else, Shady. You were talking about the impeachment and the Constitution. One of the things I was surprised that they never brought up is that the Constitution actually doesn't explicitly limit Congress to, it's not this long drawn out document that has all these limitations. So the things that it does limit, we need to take very, very seriously. And one of those, it actually says that it prohibits ex post facto laws, which means that you cannot make something illegal or an impeachable offense after the offense has occurred.
Correct.
So even if he did leverage withholding foreign aid to investigate corruption on Joe Biden. First of all, I don't know, since when has running for vice president protected you from being investigatable?
Well, it's obviously not. It's not protecting our president.
Yeah, exactly. And so, that's like me going and committing a crime and saying Ted Deutch can't call anybody to investigate it because now I've decided to challenge him for Congress. So then everybody run for public office, and then all of us are exempt from the law. But there's nothing. Even if there was a quid pro quo, like so.
Yeah.
That's our money. our money.
Yeah.
I want to know what happened to it. So it was just,
hey, we froze all this money. He's bad. Wait, aren't we broke, guys? Isn't our country broke? And they're screaming about us giving money away, where they gave My Pillows and blankets, and they're worried about, they needed the weapons. Well, then why'd you give them My Pillows and blankets, guys? Go get your mypillow.com. Mike Lindahl follows the Matrixxx account, so I'm very proud of that. Candace Estave says, girl power placed correctly. I agree with you completely. The Constitution limits government, not citizens. Exactly right, Jeff Gully. What do you think about voter ID? That's a big one too. Just so you know, the Q movement are saying we need voter ID because obviously states like California and I believe even Florida give licenses to illegal immigrants, and that way they can get bank accounts and integrate into our system. But when they get pulled over or they get free hospital care, if they get pulled over, they just get sent on their way. And so what's your thoughts about this election? The election coming up in 2020. I do believe that we've witnessed a lot of vote fraud. That's why I'm on Hillary Clinton's top 200 list of people she wants off Twitter, because I called out the voter fraud stuff, pre-election. Also, I'm pretty much straightforward in what I believe and over the target, and I drop Moabs right over. What are your thoughts on voter ID?
I don't know how that's even a conversation.
Yeah.
How is that even a thing? If you're not an American citizen, you don't get to vote.
Hey, even that's logic.
I mean,
isn't it interesting how they've slid that talking point in the last 5 years?
People will call. Listen, I'll take whatever backlash comes from this. If you weren't born a natural born citizen of the U.S., I'm not even so sure that they should be running for political office, because a lot of them don't.
Absolutely not.
They don't have allegiance to our country. So why is it different than the president? So, Boom. I could probably get myself into some trouble saying how I feel about that. But no, I don't know how that's even a thing. I mean, in Broward County, Brenda Snipes was supervisor of elections in 2018. 70,000 ballots show up, and every single one of them happened to be a Democrat. Come on.
I know.
Are you kidding? We're not even having these conversations. But Trump's not, I have faith in our leadership right now. And a lot of it, I think we have to, we're supporting our president. We trust him. We just got to give him support. He knows what's broken. He knows how to fix our republic. We each have our ordained gifts, whether it's running for office, having, a pro-republic show like you all have to get awareness out there, whether it's people listening, contributing to a campaign, volunteering, getting the word out, sharing it on social media. We all have a role, and we just need to do our role. The president's got a lot of things under control. We need to help him in the House as well. Voter fraud, I'm confident that we're not going to have as many issues as we have in the past with that. Well, I'm sure they'll try, but.
Wow. Well, we're very appreciative. Let me just check one more time if we have any questions. And then I think, let's see. I've got to go to work. You're winning our hearts like crazy.
Well,
go ahead.
The voter ID, the immigration thing, all of this stuff, it's really all been a play on the younger people who were 15 years old and younger when 9/11 happened. And it really did start after that event, and it moved into this conversation where you can't have an honest debate about what is an illegal alien and what is an immigrant. They take it and they mishmash it, and they make it all hard to understand. And like you say this about that, but the truth is they're very, very different things. An immigrant, someone who wants to immigrate to America and build a life and go through the hoops to become an American, is completely different than someone that just lollygags across the southern border and is being taken advantage of by the contractors at the Home Depot or in the fields where we're producing food. And so that conversation being distorted is it blends right in with 9/11, and it blends right in with some of these people that we have elected to office in Minnesota and other places who do not love our country. They did not come here to be Americans. They came here because they do not like this country. And come to find out, we had a bunch of people in the FBI and the DOJ and a lot of people who are still bouncing around in pretty suits on TV who don't much care for America either, because if they did, they would stand up for the truth. And whenever the president is being attacked, they would say, okay, yes, this is unfair, but this has nothing to do with the Constitution or the move forward and this whole Mueller thing and a Russian hoax and all of this projection that they've been doing. It's so vile and toxic and divisionary that getting above the fray and having an honest, direct, truthful, hard conversation is a delicate thing sometimes, but it is where we need to go in our political structure. If we're going to move forward, we can't just keep hanging out in this kind of wishy-washy space of, oh, I don't know, or maybe it could be. So
here's the bottom line. I'm going through Rep. Ted Deutch's Twitter page, and he wants to grab your guns. He wants to grab your guns.
Guns.
Yeah, he wants your guns.
Can't protect a school.
Yep. He just passed a wildlife protection thing to protect 1.4 million acres of wilderness in California, Colorado, and Washington. That's owned by the UN, probably. Trump budget slashes more than a quarter of EPA funding, so he doesn't understand what the Trump budget means. Shameful that the UN
Maybe
published.
We should respond to him somewhere.
We're going to be trolling him, guys. Don't worry. He's got 68,000.
Troll Ted Deutch.
He's got 68,000 followers.
Hashtag troll Ted Deutch.
He's got 68.
Do nothing Deutch.
Do nothing Deutch. Yeah. He's got. Let me just drop. Here he is right here. He's talking about election security ever since the Mueller report. So the Mueller report said it wasn't Russia, no collusion. Deutch. Hello.
By the way,
right? These
Mueller didn't read the Mueller report.
That kills me. It's like, wait a minute. Your allegation of interference is that they exposed information that somehow shifted all of us to suddenly supporting Donald Trump and not Hillary Clinton. I mean, we want. How is that even? Interference is stealing ballots. Interference is forging ballots. Interference is voter fraud. It's not interference is not, even if that were the case, that's not election interference.
So I just posted a tweet. I'll be voting you out, sir. Jessi Melton for U.S. Congress website. There you go. Right underneath his latest tweet. That's from me to you.
Interference is exactly right. That is all of those things. The things that they're pointing to as interference are simple distractions so that we don't look at the real interference. I mean, if you go to, like, say, Iowa, Tom Fenton from Judicial Watch just put out a report the other day and said, was it like 15 counties in Iowa have more registered voters than eligible people to vote in the county? Like, that's interference. People aren't seeing that the voter ID and different stuff like that, because it's such a weaponized conversation, is the only real answer, because we're not, we are actually in a country now where there's over 20 million people who are illegally here, and politicians are using them as a way to collect more revenue from their slush funded programs.
Well, that and they also, if you look at any of Omar's tweets, Pelosi's tweets, they constantly say protect our democracy, because I don't know that they actually even realize that we're not a pure democracy. So no matter how much they vie for open borders, try to control or keep people oppressed on poverty and keep people on the plantation, no matter how much they try to control the popular vote, they can't change the Constitution. So
and think about it like this. Think that they are saying, this is the way they work. They are actually telling us the truth. They are saying he is a threat to our democracy. The democracy is being destroyed. So in all reality, we are a republic. The democracy, we use democratic principles, but we are a constitutional republic. The democracy is this corporation that's been placed on top of our country that controls all the levers of government and banking and the bureaucratic nightmare that's out there. So that is what they're referencing. They are referencing their democracy that they have built on top of your republic, on top of the common law, common sense republic that we put in place, is now a democratically controlled majority mob, and they're actually talking right to us. And the president is destroying their democracy, and he's destroying their control over our republic at the same time.
Well, they're trying to just invade our land and our country. I mean, that's all it is. This isn't. This isn't Republicans against Democrat or one theology against another. We established a stronghold over this land. We claimed it. We formed the United States of America. There was a Louisiana Purchase and all of our other methods to gain our territory and establish our republic. And now this is just warfare. They're just coming and trying to take our fertile land away from us and exploit our productivity and our people. So it's, it's war. So
boom,
just a form of it.
Boom. Wow, this has been a really amazing interview. Vernon Peterson, Jessi Melton for Congress. B. LaForge said, hello, Jessi. You got a lot of great comments here. We're an army, QAnon army, that's right. I did update the tweet. I said, you will be voted out, hashtag MAGA, hashtag Jessi Melton with your website link underneath there. Holly Hart for Truth says, let's see, we're done with that one. It's a splitting. It's something in well beyond her control, guys. Love Tom Fitton. Yep, I met Tom Fitton. Let's see, Shady said it's closer than 45 million, that number. Okay, apparently. Praying, let's see, 40 million. That's it. I mean, I see a lot of great comments here, guys. Amazing.
So
Must see
Jessi,
TV.
I was kind of curious of like maybe a little bit of information about how your campaign is going and how your fundraising is going and like what goals you're trying to meet, or maybe an announcement of an event that you're doing or different stuff like that would be interesting.
Thanks, Shady. So I was asking how close you were because on February 23rd, which is coming up pretty soon, it's a Sunday evening at 7 o'clock. We are having a casino night fundraiser, not real gambling, but it'll be fun, in Boca off Camino Real at a place called The Venue. And I would love to have people come. If you want to come to the event, send an email to me at jessy@jessiforcongress.com, or you can reach out to me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm on all the different social media forums, and we would love to have you all at that fundraiser. It's not just going to be a, hey, let's all get together and listen to speakers and talk. We're actually going to be having a good time. DJ, blackjack, craps, which I don't know how to play, but people love it. Texas Hold'em, and we're going to be raffling off some items, silent auction. That's February 23rd. My campaign has been abundantly more than I could possibly imagine. So my job is to stay focused on why I'm doing it and serving my republic and protecting our land. And the support, and it's actually, believe it or not, bipartisan support.
Yeah.
But the support that my campaign is gaining is what I thought when I first was thinking about running. I said, I believe in my brand and I have faith in it, but I've got to go give it a try and see how it does. And it's been doing more than I could have ever imagined. So I'm getting so much support. But again, like you guys said, I'm up against an establishment career politician who is funded by everybody that he panders to. He tells people whatever they want to hear, and he's got a seat on the Judiciary Committee, the Ethics Committee, the Foreign Affairs Committee. He was at the forefront of impeaching the president, and so he
wants to take your
well-funded.
guns. Yep, absolutely. He's yep. Go ahead.
He won't protect Israel, but then he's all dodges the question when it comes to Israel, but then when it comes to going after the Second Amendment, he's never more aggressive and proactive. So, it's we will beat him with our message. His message falls flat on its face when compared to the truth, but we got to raise the money. So that's the hardest part of the.
So yeah, please donate to Jessi if you can, guys. 'Twas the beauty that killed the beast. Go Jessi, says Jeff Boyd. Vernon, yeah, she answered your question earlier, so go ahead and rewind. Somebody says, for president in the future. Jessi for president in the future. Keep Jessi in your prayers. I like Florida, but it's too crowded and hot. I get that. It's hot down here, Bonnie, and it rains iguanas. It snows iguanas, I guess we would say.
Sometimes they get frozen.
Right. We love DeSantis here in Trudy. Yes, we do love DeSantis here. Drain the swamp, and this is part of being with the Drain the Swamp. Dutch Q Patriot. Paul Nelson just requested her friend on Facebook or something like that. I believe. Drain the swamp. So we need you, Jessi. We need you bad in here in Florida. Broward County is, pretty contentious county. One more time, let me just go show you Jessi Melton right here. VoteJessi.com. It's Jessi Melton for Congress. You can check her home about issues in the news. You got to shop for her. Can we get Vote Jessi? Oh, we don't have any products yet, but we're gonna get them. But don't forget, donate.
We have camo. We have hunting camo hats.
Okay,
I'll go grab one that I'll show.
All right, cool. So she has that. Those will be at the store soon, I believe. I don't see the link there now, but if you could just, $5, $10, $1. I mean, these people have deep pockets, folks. She will not have a chance unless we kind of help her. And there's going to be more, Shady. We're going to bring more people out there. Haven't you figured it out yet? It's not about Trump's quote-unquote corruption. It's about making sure you don't find out about their corruption, guys. And that's an amazing Q post from today, Shady. And let me go.
Yeah, it is. It's really so relevant. And I just would like to say, Jessi, to your story and to your desire to do something bigger, and to your sacrifice for running a campaign, and knowing that you're going to be attacked, and knowing that you're going to be on the defensive, and seeing how much is going to come at you from this establishment to stand up. I just really want to thank you for lending your voice to the truth, and for lending your voice to the republic of our country. It is not a political debate, and so many people have a hard time getting over the idea that, oh, are you a Democrat or a Republican? And the reality is conservatism isn't Democratic or Republican. It's what our country is based on, and it's been weaponized on both sides. And so we all need to have a steady mind and a centrist viewpoint, to where we start to say, hey, we're all Americans here, and we're supposed to be able to agree to disagree, but there comes a line where we're not going to let it push past. And I feel like that you witnessing things going on around you has inspired you to step up and take the reins here. And I really commend you and appreciate all of your efforts, and to plan on supporting you through this. And we want you to be on the show often, and we want to do roundtables here with other candidates and different stuff in the future, to give a different type of forum, so people can actually see an interaction with a candidate and feel who they really are, as opposed to this cookie cutter type pretend computer generated models of candidates that are out there. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Jessi.
Thank you for saying that. Here's the hat. If you want one, go to VoteJessi.com, and
let's see that again. Jessi Melton for Congress. Love it. That's awesome. Love it. Eric Frog says, historic times. Can Jessi get money from any state? Yes, Patty, just not anybody from outside of the United States of America.
Unless you're a Biden.
Unless you're supporting Biden or Hillary or anybody else. A great job for intheMatrixxx, Evil Spider, Circle Group. Yes, Circle Group, we know all about them. Yes, we're fighting the mafia, the mob, right? Pickle says, so cute. She says she likes your hat. Noise says, so find somebody like her in Indy. She says, I'll get one. So just so you know, guys, Shady and I are finding patriots, just like you saw here with Jessi. We're going to have a new program called For the Republic. And it's for the public, of the republic, by the republic, for government, for the people, of the people, by the people. We need to drain the swamp. And this is how we do it, guys. And you need to find people in your state, and maybe get them over here to Shady and Matrixxx, and we'll vet them for you, so you find people, can ask them questions to make sure they're the ones for the job. Jessi, Shady, that's it. Jessi, do you have final thoughts before we head on out of here?
VoteJessi.com. Let's kick this guy's butt and show him to think twice before stepping on our land.
I love it. This lady. I love this lady too. Jessi, you got my vote. In fact, hopefully I'll meet you very soon. Maybe on the 19th, I think. I'm not sure yet, but is that when we're going to meet you? I don't know. I can't remember. I'm in touch with Anna, who's amazing. But I'm going to help you as much as I can.
The 23rd is the fundraiser, but if you can get down before then, let me know.
Okay, awesome. Awesome, guys. And guys, we're out of here, and that is the Matrixxx Groove Hour with Shady's final comments.
Jessi,
Shady,
Matrixxx, everyone, boom,
boom, and that's it. Jessi Melton, thank you. Good luck. God bless you. Godspeed. Just if you guys can donate $1 right now, go donate $1. Make it 5. Make it 10. See you guys later. Much love. Draining the swamp, folks, is up to us, we the people. We need to support everyone that wants to get this swamp out. Much, much love.